I who come before you humbled as nothing. And I got here because a call was made and a prayerful consideration was had. And the Lord directed me and I said yes. And that yes allowed me to be a part of this pioneering effort of going into a great land where our few and meager footsteps can be nothing. But we know that we're there to lay a foundation, and only through the greatest cornerstone that was created by a great and mighty God to lead us and to direct our every effort have we been able to prevail, and we're standing here before you this evening to tell you of the wonders that we've experienced thus far in just a few short hours.
This doesn't seem to be working.
I'll ask you to consider in your mind the vastness of that land of Alaska. Very few highways, a land of much water. How can this handful of meager footsteps begin to accomplish anything? And we have. And the power of the Lord has directed us and has opened doors with a mighty opening, and has also closed them with a mighty direction for us, as we ask each day before we go out that He would lead us and focus our efforts and our energy through open doors that He needs us to walk through, and closing the ones that He needs us to walk beyond.
So most Sundays, I open my sermon with something like this. It's a great time to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ. Amen. Because of God's blessings in the international work, of which you heard tonight, His blessings among the house of Joseph in many different ways, His blessing of the people from other restoration groups that are seeking the truth of the gospel, which I believe we're going to hear more about tomorrow, and also the growth of the youth, which we saw some front and center today, and that will continue tomorrow. And it's an exciting time to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ. So Alaska is still considered a new work. There's only been 4 trips up there. I'd say the first 2 trips were centered on trying to figure out which location would be best. So what does the new work feel like? Well, there's few contacts to begin with many times. You have to have a pioneering spirit, a willingness to explore and see where the Lord is going to take you and lead you. There's certainly uncertainty with many unknowns. And there's a dependence on the Lord and His Spirit for direction, and that's where all of you come in. Because we know that when we're there, in state, working the work, that you're supporting us in prayer. And you certainly need to be flexible, because your schedule will change every day based on what happens. So we're going to briefly talk about our 2 church members that are there. A Hope Center and the humanitarian effort, the prayer group also associated with the Hope Center, a radio station broadcast opportunity that we have, a native village that we visited, and we'll probably skip the wildlife and scenery due to time. Okay. Now, if you could imagine, and most map pictures don't do it justice, because Russia's to the left, Canada's to the right, and Alaska's in the middle. But Alaska is twice the size of the state of Texas. And if you would put Alaska just north of Texas, it would cover most of the Midwestern states that are just north of Texas. That's how big it is. So when Sister Cheryl says that it's a state of great expanse, indeed it is. And basically only the eastern half of the state has any roads. And the 300 native villages that are there, 200 are not accessible by road, only by air or by boat. So that all adds to the challenge. Now, why are we in Alaska? We're not in Alaska because Brother Wayne likes cold weather better than hot weather, okay? We're not in Alaska because Brother Joel and Sister Ruth took some vacations there. We're in Alaska because it's one of the top 10 most populated states with Aboriginal people. And as we began to discuss it, the Lord gave experiences saying that only the pure and unadulterated gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ must go to the people in Alaska. So on the strength of that, and another experience that we had during one of the calls, when the Lord gave an open vision, and we found out that there was a radio broadcast opportunity in one of the cities which hasn't materialized yet, but he told us to explore that opportunity, and we've been doing that. They had a snowy winter. It didn't affect us, but I asked Brother Joel to stand next to this pile of snow, and there were piles like this all throughout the city of Anchorage, okay? Probably about 10 feet high. We didn't have any of it while we were there, but they had 120 inches of snow, most of it in November and December before New Year's even came. So they had a difficult winter.
We were given a wonderful opportunity to have extended periods of fellowship with our brother Kevin Powell, who had just been reinstated in the church prior to our arriving on this most recent trip. And we were able to also have ordinances with him in our home, and talk about a man filled with the Spirit and the zeal of the Lord and a desire to work. It was a wonderful opportunity. And we had intended to meet with our dear sister Mary Else on this trip. We met with her the previous trip and had wonderful fellowship with her. She was actually in Ohio when we were up there. So
there are some trials that come with these trips. Brother Kevin told us, he said, I've had this king crab in my freezer for a long time, just waiting an excuse to eat it with and share it with somebody. So we had to oblige him. So that was one night of fellowship. Yeah, and the free salmon the trip before that. So last trip, Sister Cheryl mentioned a visit of Sister Mary. So just for association, Sister Mary is Sister Rosalie Mott's sister and Brother Timothy Mott's aunt. Okay, they've been in Alaska for about 20 or 30 years. She has a close friend, a member of the LDS, and when we went over there, her friend has had a very troubled life, especially a troubled childhood. Now, I want you to imagine the setting. Brother John and Sister Barb were with us on this trip, Cheryl and I, with Sister Mary and her friend. Sister Mary has a beautiful keyboard in her room, so we brought Songs of Zion, and we were singing, as well as we had ordinances of the Lord's Supper for Sister Mary, and we anointed both of them. I can't even imagine this, but this is how the Lord worked on Mary's friend, Angie. She said, and there were 6 of us, she said, this was the most beautiful singing I've ever heard in my entire life. Better than any of the church meetings I've been to, better than any other occasion. That's how the Lord blessed her. Brother John, we didn't know it at the time. After we got home, Sister Mary texted. She said, that meeting that you all had with me was one of my top 5 meetings in the church in my entire life. Since then, brothers and sisters, just in the last couple weeks, including this weekend, brothers are reaching out to me, brothers in the ministry, saying, I'm going to be in Alaska soon, in the next couple months. Is there something we can do? Well, certainly, we can administer to our 2 members. And we'll work with them to line that up. But it was such a great blessing. Brother Cameron, I regret now that I wasn't there when Brother Kevin was reinstated, and all the brothers from Farmington. You know, the desire he had, we spent 3 or 4 nights together. It was like, I wanted to ask him, aren't you sick of us yet? You know, after the 3rd, 4th night, but he just kept coming back. We had a blessed service this morning with the Lord's Supper and the ordinance of feet washing. And for you brothers that were there this morning, I want you to know with just 5 or 6 people in the room, we had that same spirit that night when we washed Brother Kevin's feet, and he washed our feet for the first time after 20 or 30 years. Don't ever give up on anyone. The Lord has a work. The Lord has a timing. Every soul is important. And when you can't grasp the importance of that thought, think about what if that soul was you or me. And so now Brother Kevin is on fire. This coming week, he's invited 3 of his friends to his home to share his testimony and to share the gospel. And I've already told him if there's a positive response to that, the week after that, we're going to start setting up Zoom meetings and telling them more about the church. He's asked many times, what can I do to help your efforts here? He said, I have a vehicle. It's in storage right now. I'll get it out of storage. I'll insure it. And maybe next time you don't have to rent a car. That'll save the church some money. So we're going to follow up on that. But our vision for the very next trip is that Sunday we would rent a facility. That we would have a meeting of Sister Mary and her family and friends, Brother Kevin and any friends that he has, whoever's on the trip. There might be 12 or 15 of us there. And we'll invite those that you're going to see in a few minutes that we've made contact with at the prayer center and the humanitarian effort. And we're just going to see what the Lord does. We're going to let the Spirit of God take over and see if He won't bless the hearts of those that are under the restored gospel.
This is the place where we have been several times, and it's an amazing opportunity for people who are homeless to find a way in life. And in this group that is assembled there, there's generally about 60% of the population that is offered housing at the home center. The women there, about 60% are of Native. And so we have been working with them. Basically, there's an enclosure where the women are, and we're on the other side. This particular trip gave us access to their space. And we have an opportunity to do even more on our next outreach if we are given permission to do so. And we also did administrate, we were outside, the people that aren't residents there come and get meals, and they served over 300, I believe, of those who were walking by, men and women, Native and white. And we were able to interact with those people as well. It's a great opportunity because of the services that are provided and the people that are already assembled for us.
The blessing of this facility is the fact that they're not just providing assistance. They're trying to transform people's lives spiritually, emotionally, temporally, and there, as Sister Cheryl said, there are 70 homeless women that reside there until they're able to get back on their feet. I'm not going to read this slide, but you can see the extensive services that they provide. They have baking schools, they have culinary schools, they have dessert making schools, and many of the participants that graduate from those schools, they hire back to this agency. So a shout out to our sisters. I mean, Sister Cheryl, Sister Barb Straccia, Sister Ruth Gailey. The sisters played a key role on these visits because about 80% of the people that we came in contact with were women. And just to make you laugh, each of these humanitarian efforts lasted about 6 hours. The first time we went, we made lunch meat and cheese sandwiches. Brothers and sisters, I touched more lunch meat in those 6 hours than I've touched in my whole life. And I like lunch meat and cheese sandwiches, all right? It was unbelievable. We made 400 sandwiches and they were gone. We went up in the fall with 4 contacts. And you know, today's society, you have many ways of trying to reach people. Phone call, email, text, whatever. LinkedIn, it doesn't matter. None of the people would respond. So we thought we had something to work with. It ended up, for a moment, we had nothing. So the 4 of us began our day with prayer services, 2 or 3 days in a row. And then we went to this humanitarian opportunity. Now, I can't explain why I felt this way other than the inspiration of God. I mean, you wouldn't go volunteer and just say, I want to meet the executive director. Right? It's not necessary. But that's how I felt. And so we're basically done with our work, and Sister Cheryl notices this lady, we had seen a picture of her, over in the corner, and she runs over and starts talking with her. And pretty soon she's waving me over. We went upstairs and met with the executive director. We told her why we were there. She says, I think I can help you. One of the ladies that we were trying to contact, she said, oh, that's my friend. I'll call her right now while you're in the office. And she did, and not surprisingly, you know, we have 7 to 10 days to work with. We're a little bit anxious to make progress. We're a little bit pushy. She said, oh yes, I got all the messages. I thought these people were a little pushy, so thought I'd make them wait for a little while. Okay? And that's what happened. But this executive director opened door after door after door for us. And it didn't matter that those other people didn't respond, because she opened doors in other ways.
She opened doors to the prayer center. She invited us to attend, and one of our primary contacts was a participant in that prayer circle. And we fell into a fast relationship with that group and the leader of the group, and we were embraced from the very moment. We were 4 people who walked in, 4 strangers into an assembled group. Imagine in your church or Sunday school, the same thing would happen, and we walked in and we just sat down. Oh, hi, I'm from Ohio, I'm in Pennsylvania, you know, we're in Michigan, we're in Pennsylvania. Okay, well, welcome. And they start they're doing their routine. And as it was appropriate, we would each of us individually would add some piece and contribute to that time together. And one of the things that we offered to do was stand and sing from this golden book, our Songs of Zion. And we told them of how that came to be and the incredible miracles that we as a church had received and our sister Arlene had received in a lifetime work of 239 songs. And they asked us, we stood up and we sang there. And they loved it. And they asked us to sing again.
One thing I forgot to share is when we were with the executive director, we told them about our desire for Israel, our work among the house of Joseph in terms that they could understand more clearly. And we felt to sing a chorus to them, the chorus of An Angel Came Down, where it says, O Israel, in all your abidings prepare for the Lord. And that touched that woman's heart. And the next day when we were together in the prayer circle, she asked us to sing that song so that everyone could hear it. And yes, there were just 4 of us, but the Spirit of God filled that room. So I already talked a little bit about the radio. I'm going to keep going. Like I said before, there's about 300 native villages there. We had the opportunity to visit one of them. It was about 120 miles from Fairbanks, but the roads were so rough. Where's Jordan? Kenya roads in Alaska, okay? I know you know what I mean, right? And those 120 miles took us over 3 hours to get there, right? But there are opportunities there. We just need to spend more time. As we walked into their church building, this lady that's the chairman of the church there also happens to be the postmaster. And as we walked in, we saw stars of David all over the building. We saw shofars hanging up on the wall. And we knew without her talking much about it that they had a connection to Israel, and we jumped in quickly and told them about our hope for Israel. So we're trusting that there are opportunities there. I
want to say that that Hope Center and that prayer center, the prayer circle, on our second trip, we went in, and from the first time when we were there about 3 months ago, we came in and their size had almost doubled. And our contact person was there, who we treat with great reverence and respect as a native elder that she is. Because in that culture, the grandmothers speak for us, and she will open the doors for us. But what we hadn't realized, and we were thrilled that we saw her, but our efforts were doubled because the Lord also sent there her sister. And the two of them together are an incredibly powerful team in all these villages throughout their region. And we were feeling very blessed with that. Along with it, let me also say that when we were there, the leader asked us to please sing. Will you sing one of your songs of Zion? And we did that again, and we just know, we've all felt that power that resides in the songs, that we just know that we will continue to sing the fair songs of Zion and the message they bring. That opens many doors for us, and it continues to, and they love them. And they said, we like hearing hymns. They get a lot of canned music, Christian music that they download, and they have a wonderful service. It inspires them, but they know, well, a couple things, if I can just speak, the couple of things that we heard on this second trip. You said you were going to come back, but we can't believe you came so soon. We showed up. And then they also said about how they loved hearing the hymns that we sing. And that was a very powerful thing for us in knowing that that is a part of our future with this group and expanding out through the state.
All right, so I'm going to conclude with this. We need, I'm going to go back to Joe and John for a minute. We need a Ramon Yazzie, okay? We need a native advocate in the state. That's what we're missing. That's one of the prayer needs. We need further direction on where we should be. We know we have a work in Anchorage, but what other locations as well? Just talked about the advocates. We need to increase and strengthen our church membership base there, as well as pursue the opportunity for the radio broadcast, continue to deepen our relationships with the Hope Center and its prayer group, and again, more laborers on the committee. And I mean by that, willing to make a commitment for more than a trip, 2 or 3 years. These are all relationship-based works. Once they see you, once they know you, they want to see you again. You get a familiarity, you get a comfort. We're thankful for what the Lord has done so far, but we believe there are many, many more blessings ahead.
Bwana asifiwe. Amen. One more time. Bwana asifiwe. Amen. We thank God for our message tonight. Tonight we went to the southwest region of this country. We went to Africa. We went to Central America. And we ended in Alaska. And we're back here in good old Western Pennsylvania. And the weather's beautiful and it's blessed. And so the Church of Jesus Christ grows. And brothers and sisters, if you're involved in a missionary work in the next 6 months, just stand up, please. If you're going on a trip or you're going to do something for the church, it could be a local, stand up. And we're going to ask, as our brothers and sisters stand up, that as those that are sitting, we thank you for your support, because some have to stay home and keep the home fires burning. And if you have a desire to be able to stand in this group, reach out to the evangelist of the church, and we will help you find your place with that. Thank you. We want to end with a personal experience. 10 years ago, there was in our branch, there was I'll say 13 years ago, there was a father and a daughter that came to visit. They came by the testimony of a sister. So if you're an evangelist, you don't have to have an ordination, you're a missionary. And this woman, this sister in our church, gave her testimony, and this father and his young daughter came to the church. The story went something like this. The mother had separated herself, and this father was raising this daughter by himself. And they started to come, and we started to teach, and talking about the teachers this afternoon. And we taught Sunday school to this young family, and that's her father there. So her name is Sophia, and she's 7 years old. Sophia has the blessing. And you know, one day the brother, this man, not a brother, he's just a visitor, he lets us, bless his family. And he comes to a feet washing service, not a baptized member. And as we're all up front working, someone notices he's taking his shoes off. He's ready to come up and join us. And one of the brothers says, "Brother, no, you got to be baptized." And circumstances happened that family separated and we didn't see him. Not anything bad happened. He just stopped coming. And we always wonder what happened. And I know there are some here that go to high school with some young people from the church. And our young people, now fast forward 10 years, our young people from the church make a relationship and see Sophia again and say, "Sophia, you remember coming to the church?" And she says, "Yes, I remember." And she comes to the church 10 years later. And go ahead and click that again, Brother Eric. I blessed her in 2013, and in 2023 I baptized her. Amen. And the story gets better because the day of her baptism we went back and she was baptized by fire. And as the meeting ended, her father stood and says, "I want to be baptized." Amen. And he was baptized the following Sunday. The gospel has to come to a home. That's the message tonight. Whether it was in Guatemala, whether it was in Brother Ramon's home, the gospel came to our home. That's the story of evangelism. Christ built the church in the homes, not in the temples. That's where the work does. So we can be all part of this work, and we are. So we praise God for that. We ask you to remember all the missionaries as they travel and their families as they stay home. We acknowledge sisters and brothers and families that have to stay home and take care of things. And so we just pray for the church as it will expand. We want to see more nations' flags to be filling these holders in the near future.